Hello friends, welcome. In this video, I am going to teach you on how to make a draggable item like this in Godot, and the draggable items will have the features such that it can be dragged using both mouse pointer and the touch. And another feature is that once you start dragging the draggable item, it will leave behind a transparent shadow on its original position, and once you stop dragging the draggable item, it will force back or snap back to its original position, so that if you want the draggable item to stay on that place where you stop dragging, you can just delete some of the codes in the in drag function and you can make it behave as you like. So let's get started and make some draggable items. First of all, let me show you my project structure. So I've got a game scene here and it's a type not 2D, and then in the folders, the root folder, I've got nothing much. Yeah, I've got a couple of icons in here and the game scene file, and next some of the add-ons that we don't require right now, yeah, except for the Android folder. So it's for testing on Android phone, and that's it. So let's get started. First of all, I've got a game scene here, and next let's make another scene for our draggable item, and so that we can just reuse that draggable item multiple times, so that we don't have to code the draggable items codes for more than once if you want to make it a lot of draggable items. So let's do that. First of all, I'll just go to scenes and then make a new scene. Here I'm going to select other node, and in here let's select area 2D, okay, for the draggable item area 2D. Click on create, and that's our area 2D, and let me just rename it draggable item. And right now it has got some warning, so let's fix it. So to fix this warning of area 2D, I'll just add a collision shape. Let's add a collision shape, collision collision shape, create. Okay, so in the collision shape, let's go to inspector and just create a circular shape 2D for our collision, and we have made a circular shape 2D. Let me just make it a little bit larger. Okay, that's good. And let's add a sprite for this draggable item, okay, so that we can visualize it. So let me just click on draggable item and add a child node, and let's select sprite 2D, sprite sprite 2D, create. Okay, we have got the sprite 2D, and in here let's just import the texture. Okay, so for this texture I'll just use icon.svg, yeah, and that's in our project folder. Okay, this is our sprite 2D, and let me just drag this collision shape below the sprite 2D so that we can see the collision shape. So I think we need to change the color of this collision shape. So let me just click in this debug color and give a different color. Okay, this one looks good, and we can see the collision shape now. And let me just increase it up to the size of this sprite 2D, like this. Good. And let me just call this collision shape a different name. Okay, I'll just call it drag detector. Okay, so that's our drag detector. It's a collision shape 2D. It will just detect a drag or a touch, and that's it. And now let's give it a script. Okay, so let's click on the draggable item, click on the script, and we are going to just place the script in the same folder here in the root folder and create. So we have created the draggable item.gd, and this is our script. Let's give it a class name. Okay, class underscore name, and I'll just call it Draggable, draggable item item. That's good. And just let me just shape the scene. Okay, also draggable item dot tsn. Let's just save it in the same folder, and that's good. So if we run the current scene, we can see our draggable item here. Right now we cannot drag it. So let's make some code for making it draggable. Okay, first of all, let's create some variables for our draggable item. So the variables so we need are first of all, let's add some of signals. Okay, so signal signal. So I will just use make a signal called drag underscore started, started started, so that we will know when the drag is started. And in here I'll just give a argument for now, just call it an item. And next another signal also, signal signal drag underscore end. And here I am going to just give another argument called signal also. And these are the signals that will be used while dragging the items. And next let's make some variables. First of all, I'll make a variable called is underscore dragging equals to, and I'll just give it a value false. So this dragging variable will be used if we have to know if something is been dragged or not. Okay, and next let's make another variable called drag offset, drag underscore offset offset equals to vector vector 2. Okay, not equals to. So drag offset will be of type vector 2 first, vector 2, and let me give it a value 2 dot. For now I'll just give 0. Okay, vector 0 0. So this drag offset will be used if you want the object to be seen a little bit in a distance different than your tossed point or the drag point. Okay, if you want that kind of offset. And next let me make another variable called start underscore position. This will be used just to record the starting position of the draggable item when it just started to drag. Okay, vector 2, so that we can just record that starting point. And if you want to get back to that starting point, and then we can just go to this position when the drag started. And next let's make a variable called can drag, drag, and I'll just give it a value true, the default value set. So this will be also be used if you want to drag or not. Yeah, if you want to set that item to be able to drag or not. And next let me make a variable called shadow, and I'll just give it a null value for now. Okay, so this shadow variable will just store some kind of a node, especially a sprite node, and it will be easier for to know what does it do after we start making the draggable item. Okay, so let's just keep it that way for now. And next let's just make an export variables, export var variable 1. I'll just call it item id, that you guys might be able to use. Yeah, that's why we might need to know which draggable item we are dragging. That's why I'm just giving a variable called item id. Next, another export variable called texture, and I'll just make it the type texture shape, and that's it. I think we have made the variable, and let's make another variable. Okay, this will be a static variable, static static variable. So this static variable is used by all the, what do I call, the instances of the class. Okay, this draggable item class. So that the static variable only holds one item at a time for all the classes, I mean objects of that class. If you guys know a little bit about OOP. So static variable, I'll just make a active underscore drag underscore item is to dragg. So I will just give it a type of draggable item itself. Okay, this class, and I'll just make it to null at first. Okay, so this active drag item will hold a draggable item itself, and it will just hold that item, so that this is used so that we accidentally don't drag a lot of items at once. Okay, for that I'm using this variable, and that's it for the variables. Now let's say start to make it be able to drag. So let's make, first of all, and the underscore ready function, what do I want to make? Okay, so in the underscore ready function we are going to access the property called input input event. Okay, and this input event is a signal, so I'm going to have to connect a function inside here. So let me make a function first, func func, and I'll just call this function underscore on underscore input input underscore event, and inside here I will have to make 3 arguments. First of all, the viewport, view port port, comma event comma, and the last one will be sep index, shp sep idx. I'll just write it idx, and that's it. Let me just write pass for now, and here I am going to connect this function. Okay, once that input underscore event signal happens, then it will call this function. Okay, so let me just write here on input event, and that's good. So once the draggable item gets instantiated, it will just connect the input event signal to this function, and dragging of the item will be inside this function. Okay, and next what I want to record is once we start, or once the draggable item gets instantiated, let me just store where is it, start position. Okay, start position. So let me just store as start position with a value of global position of this draggable item, so that we'll just record the starting position or the first initial position of this draggable item, and if something goes wrong, then we can just get back to this starting position. Okay, and after that, let's just skip it that way. And next let's make on input event. Okay, so let's do something here. So what do we want here? First of all, I will just call a if block, and if we can drag the uh, draggable item. So I'll just check if can drag or not. Okay, can underscore drag, and that's it. And next, I think I would like to copy some of the codes. Yeah, just writing all the codes manually would be very slow. So let me just get a reference code here, and I'll just copy the code and I'll just explain you everything. That would be a lot faster. So I've got the input event code here, and just let me just copy all the function and I'll explain you everything. Where is it? Not here. Here's our project. Okay, let me just paste the whole function, and we have got to create some of the functions. And let me just, for right now, I'll just comment out some of the functions that we haven't made. Okay, and let me show you what we are doing here. So once the on input event occurs, then it just provides us the viewport event and sep index. Okay, this input event provides us this kind of arguments, but we are just focusing on the event. So let's see here. So if we can, first of all, we are going to check if we can drag our draggable item or not. So generally, most of the time it is given the true value. Where is it? Can drag. Yeah, here we have given the true value, then we can drag. And after that, we will just look at the event. Okay, if the event is input event screen touch. Okay, so if it's a screen touch event, then we are going to go inside and we are going to drag our item. And to be able to use input event screen touch, we actually have to set something in our project. So let me just set it. Okay, so let's go to the project settings, and in here we have got, let's just search input. Where is it? Input device, and in the sensors, not in sensor, pointing. Yeah, in the pointing, you just click emulate touch from mouse. Okay, this one. Now once our mouse touches, it will just act as a touch event. Okay, and now we can use this function or this event, input event screen touch. And after that, if the input event is pressed, so if we press down the mouse button or with a touch we press that object, then we go inside this if block, and what does happen? Look, first of all, we check if active drag item is null or not. Yeah, first of all we check it, and also if we check again if active drag item equal to self, means itself. So if the active drag item is itself and active drag item is not null, that means where is it? Yeah, this one. So this active drag item will be set, will hold on item and item, so it will be a draggable item. So if it's not null, and if this active drag item is not itself, then we are going to return. Okay, because it's been dragging, we will know something is been dragging, that's why we want to return, even if we are touching the draggable item. So to prevent two things from dragging at once, I've used this code. Okay, so if you want two things, any two draggable items to be able to drag at once, you can ignore this if block, but for my case I'll just use it. Okay, so that I'll just prevent being two or multiple draggable items being dragged at the same time. So for that I've used this code to prevent multiple drags. And next, I'll just set the active drag item to self. Okay, so if it's not null, I mean the active drag item is not null and active drag item is not itself, then we are going to set active drag item to self. Now the drag item, this variable will hold the current draggable item, and after that if it's dragging or not. So we are going to make another variable to true, is dragging to true. Okay, so this variable that we had set to false, so we are starting to drag, that's why I just make this variable to true. And after that drag start, we also emit a signal called a drag start. Okay, drag started, and inside here I'll just pass itself. Okay, and after that I'll also make the jet index to 10, so that we can be able to drag our item from anywhere if a lot of elements are there and it has been layered. So we just want our jet index of this draggable item to be highest once we touch that item. Okay, so that it will not be layered or overlapped by other elements of the game or the project. That's why we set the jet index to 10. Okay, and next, if we have pressed, we just do it. Okay, first time, if we have pressed it first time, then we will set the active drag item to self, and then is dragging to true, and then we will just start emit the signal drag started, and then make the jet index of that active item to 10. And next, if it's pressed, yeah, first time we want to drag, we will be pressing that item, and after that it will be dragging. Okay, and if that event is not pressed, then means if it's dragging, we just want to end the drag. Okay, that means if that event is pressed, then we want to start the drag. Yeah, we emit everything and we make our drag to be started by setting these variables. But if that event is not pressed, then that's something else. Yeah, then we want to end the drag, so we will just end the drag by doing this. Okay, so if it's something else event except for that event press, then we will do this. Okay, is dragging. So if we check if that item has is dragging, that means is dragging is true, then we will just end the drag like this. Okay, and we have to make the function underscore in drag. So let's make this function. No, I will just copy the function. Yeah, and I'll just explain everything. So I've got this in drag function here from the reference project, copy it and paste it here. That's good. And let me just comment out some of the functions that we don't need right now. And why am I getting this drag indeed not declared? Okay, drag indeed. Oh, the spelling of the signal and IND ed indeed. That's good. Okay, and we will call this in drag function. So what does this do? Look, so we have this in drag function and it has an argument force snapback. So if this force snapback is set to true, then it will go back, then the draggable item will go back to its original position. Okay, that's what happens once we end the drag, or the drag has stopped. When the drag has stopped, we'll just force our draggable item to be forced back to its initial position, and we had actually recorded the initial position here. Okay, start position equal to go back position once we started, once the draggable item instantiated here. And next, we set the is dragging to false, yeah, that variable, and then also we set the active drag item to null. And then what do? We just emit drag indeed here also in this place. Okay, we'll just emit a signal so that it can be used by other nodes or by itself, yeah, to do something. and after that we just set the jet index back to 0. So generally the any item would have jet index 0. Okay, and next you just QF the shadow. Okay, right now I will just on comment it out, and I'll just comment it out, this one and this one too right now. And after that, if force underscore snap back is set to true, then we will just move our draggable item back to that position. Okay, and for right now I will just comment it out and show you what happens. And that's how we can drag. And the last thing I think we need is in the underscore process function. Okay, so let me just copy something from here, underscore process. Okay, for ending the drag. Okay, first of all I'll just show you what happens right now, and then only. So let's see what happens right now. Save it and let me just play. Okay, do we see anything? Oh no, it's a game scene. Okay, let me just go to the 2D game scene. It's not the game scene. Okay, this is the game scene. So let's drag our draggable item inside this game scene. Draggable item inside the game scene in the center. That's good. Save it and let's play. Okay, we can see our draggable item in here. Why is it like this? I'm just seeing the very small screen, and look, I am able to drag my draggable item here. And let me fix this screen first. The output screen, go to projects, settings, windows, the viewport height and width is this, and my windows over written height and width is this. That's good. Anything else? Orientation portrait mode, that's good. And next stretch mode. Oh, I'll just make it canvas item. Close it, save it. Let me just play one more time. Okay, now okay, this is our draggable item and we can drag it, but right now our thing is such that we can drag it, but it doesn't snap back to its original position. Okay, so I want to make it go back to its original position once the drag is finished. Okay, right now we can drag it anywhere. Look, in this corner and anywhere else like this. And next thing we are going to do is once we start dragging, we want to make it a little bit larger. Okay, so that it just gives a feel of it's being dragged across the screen. Once we make it a little bit larger, yeah, it gives a good UI effect. So let's make that one also. Save it and let me go back to our script. And in here so we had something called size increase. So let's make the size increase function first. For that, what do I do is I'll just copy the function and explain you everything. So I've got the size increase function here. Let me just copy it and get back and paste it here. Okay, what does this size increase function do? It will just scale the sprite 2D. Okay, our sprite 2D like this. Okay, we just give it a vector of 2,2, so it will just double the size. And next we have doubled the size of the sprite, but we also want to double the size of this collision shape. Okay, drag detector. That's why we have got the size of this sprite 2D like this. Okay, sprite 2D dot get rect, it will just get the size of the whole sprite 2D, the new scaled one. And then after that I will just get the scaled size like this. Okay, make a variable called scaled size, and inside here I'll just uh, use the size property of this rect. Okay, the rectangle that occupies this sprite 2D. And then what do I do is I just multiply it by the scale. Okay, sprite 2D scale that has just been doubled. Okay, and after that what do I do is I'll just make a variable called radius, and I'll just make the length of that radius to the maximum size of that scaled size. Okay, so this is sprite. So if it's not square and different shape, then it will just choose a maximum size, whether it's in the x side or the y side, and then it will just multiply it by 0.5 because we are making the radius, okay, not the diameter. That's why we made it half. And after that we give the radius to the shape radius of this collision shape. Okay, collision shape 2D dot shape dot radius, and its collision shape will also increase as the sprite size will increase. And once we increase the size, if we leave the draggable item back, then its size should shrink back. Okay, so let's make another function to shrink back also. So for that I'll just copy the same thing, copy, and let's just paste it in our code, save it. And what did I do is we made the side back to 1 and 1. Okay, I keep the vector 1 1 here so that it will be the normal value of that sprite shape, and the same thing here, save it. And we have made the size increase and decrease function, so let's implement in here. So once we start dragging, we increase the size by like this. Okay, we just call the function increase size, and once we end the drag, then we decrease the size back like this. And let's see, save it, play. Okay, let me drag it now. Look, the size has increased, and if I leave it, it gets back. Okay, that's good. And by increasing the size and this collision shape 2D, it will automatically make our drag smoother. Okay, because the collision shape has been increased, and we can smoothly drag our items like this. And I can show you the collision shape from here also. Let me go to debug and make it a visible collision shape. Okay, and you can see here we have increased the collision shape also. Look, the collision shape also gets increased. Yeah, and that's it. And while making this project, while making the debug collision shape on, so it might have a performance issue, and you might not like the drag so much while showing this collision shape. But if you make this debug collision shape off, and if you start it without showing the collision shape, then the drag items will increase in performance. Okay, just keep that in mind, save it. And next I want to make it something is like this. Right now I want to make it go back to its original position from where it started if we dragged it somewhere else. Okay, and I'll just want some kind of shape in the place of this item when it is started, drag started. Okay, so let's make that shape. So how to make that shape? So if this is the origin position of this draggable item, if I just move it away, then I should see something in here. Yeah, it's the original position. So let's make that happen. For that, I have created a variable called shadow. Okay, so this shadow variable will hold that shadow of the draggable item. So let's make that one. For that also, for creating the shadow, I will just copy the code reference code and I'll just explain you everything. Just easy that way and faster also. So here is the function called create underscore shadow object. Copy it and paste it here. Save it. And next, let's see what does it do. So if I first of all, I'll check if the shadow object is null or not. Yeah, if it's null, then we will do nothing. But if it's not null, then we have to queue free the shadow. So why did I queue free it is this shadow variable object will hold a node. Okay, especially the sprite 2D node, it will be holding the sprite 2D node. That's why I have to free that sprite 2D first. Okay, or delete that sprite first. So I will delete the sprite first and then I'll just create a new shadow. So I'll just make it to null value again. Okay, this shadow variable, and after that I'll just create a variable called shadow underscore sprite, and here I'll just give it a new sprite like this. Okay, make a new sprite, and after that I'll just assign that shadow sprite to this shadow variable, and it will hold that shadow sprite 2D now. Yeah, and next I'll just add this shadow variable, this shadow sprite that we just hold in this shadow variable by this command. Okay, so I'll just get the parent. Okay, parent of this draggable item, whatever it is. So in our case it will be the game scene. So I'll just get the game scene and I'll add a shadow sprite for that. Okay, I'll add a child shadow sprite for that. So we will have a shadow sprite in here once we create a shadow sprite. And after that I'll just give it a position. Okay, so the shadow sprite will have the global position of that starting position, so that this start position that we recorded, so that it will show us the original position even if we drag the original item. And after that I'll just give it a texture also. Yeah, so if we don't give the texture, we will not see the sprite 2D. That's why I gave the sprite texture of that sprite 2D, the whatever the draggable item has. Okay, this sprite 2D's texture will be passed to this new shadow sprite also. And I'll make this shadow sprite little bit of transparent by using this function or property modulate, and a means the alpha value. The alpha value is maximum 1, that means it is opaque, and 0.5 is it's a little bit transparent. Okay, that's what I did it. And now let's create the shadow object once we start dragging. Okay, so let's go up here. So here we have started dragging from here. Where is it? Yeah, in this. Yeah, when we press the press event occurs, then we create the shadow object with this. And after we create the shadow object, we might want to delete it when we in the drag. Okay, so let's go to in drag function and let's delete the shadow object like this. Okay, shadow.viewFree, that's why I did it. And after that, after a process frame, one process frame, I'll just make the shadow variable to null again. Okay, save it, and good. Now let's see. Let's play, and let me drag it. And do I see the shadow? Look, yeah, you can see the shadow object. That's the original position. Yeah, you can see it there. Good. Yeah, and the one thing, and the next thing I would like to make it is when I leave the draggable item, stop dragging, I would want the draggable item back to its original position. Okay, so based on your choice, You can do this or not, but for my case I would like to do that one. Okay, I would like to make the draggable item that can be dragged around, but once I leave dragging, it needs to snap back to its original position. So let me make that. Okay, for that, what do I want to do? So here is a signal, okay, or the function int underscore drag function is called when we stop the dragging. Yeah, and here I would like to I've only done up to this right now. Yeah, we made the shadow invisible, or we deleted the shadow and nothing. So let's force our draggable item to go back to its original position. For that, we have already the code here commented out. I'll just make it uncomment and let's see what happens. So if the force snap back is set to true, yeah, if you don't want the draggable item to be snap back or go back to its original position once the drag is stopped, then you can send false in here on the in drag. Okay, so if it's true, then we will just force our draggable item back to its original position by using this twin. Okay, let's create a twin, and then after that in the twin property we will give it a self. So this draggable item will go from this global position wherever it was to the start position that we recorded at first. Okay, and within how many seconds? 0.15 seconds. And that's it. And let's see, play, and will it force snap back? Yeah. So now once I start the drag, so it just goes back. Yeah, if I leave, it goes back, snaps back. So it will depend on your functionality, what kind of draggable item you want to make. But for my case right now, I'll just make it like this. Okay, and that's it. And one little thing that I would like to show you guys in the mobile phone. Yeah, sometimes the draggable item, I'll just show you from here. Sometimes you want to drag the item and it just goes beyond this screen. Yeah, and it becomes like this, look. So we want to force our draggable item back here if it goes away from the viewport. So let's solve this problem also. Yeah, so in the touch screens this kind of problem might appear. So to solve that, so I'll just copy a code from here, this one, just copy it and paste it here, paste. So what did I do is in the process function, so if I look at it, if it's a dragging, and I'll just record a viewport size. Yeah, so I'll just get the viewport size and then I'll just check if our draggable item is not inside the viewport, then I'll just force it back. Okay, I'll just in drag, call the in drag and set the force snap back to true, and it will automatically go back. Even if you keep on dragging that item, it will just go back. And here's how we have done it. Yeah, so we have checked the mouse pointer or our drag position, and if it's away from the viewport or not in the viewport, then we will just in the drag like this. Save it and let's see, play. And if I put make it go away from the viewport, now it just snap backs. Okay, so that's one of the problem that you need to solve while making a draggable item. Or else, say if you just force it to go away from the viewport, yeah, it will just keep on sticking at that position. And let me just show you in the phone also, yeah, if it works or not. So let me just upload thing. Okay, let me just upload and show you guys the phone screen also. and the project is being built. Start Gradle daemon 1 in capital 1 is stop daemon could not use read. Okay, it's starting. It will just take some time, 1 or 2 minutes, and after that I'll just show you. Okay, moving the output, and it's running in my phone, installing in my phone. And let me just go to here, connected device. Where is it? Okay, this one. Once it finishes installing. Okay, it has finished installing, and it's running on my phone. And let me just show you from here. Open the phone screen. Okay, the phone screen is opening, and I think I can show it like this. And yeah, let me just, what do I do? Okay, now I can show you. Okay, look, I am touching the phone screen and I am dragging it, and it just snaps back, yeah, like this. And that's how we do it. And next I would like to show you how can you utilize the same code for different draggable items. So you just don't want this draggable item, you want multiple, yeah, but you don't want to write all the codes for all those draggable items. So how to do that? That's why I used this to export variables, yeah. One is for the texture and another for the item ID, so that you can actually know which item you are dragging. So for that we don't have to do much. So let's go to the game scene, and inside this game scene, so we have got this draggable item right now. And let me just duplicate this draggable item, duplicate, and if I just drag these guys down here, we can see these two things. So let's change the texture. Okay, so to change the texture you don't have to do anything right now. You can see here, okay, in the inspector panel we have created the texture variable, and you can just drag the texture down here. So let's drag for the item 2. I've got another image, drag it like this, and for the item 1 also, item 3 also, drag it like this. And right now we don't see anything, but in here let's go to the where is it, the script of draggable item. So have we set the, okay, we have to set the texture now in the underscore ready function. So let's set. So if we have got texture property, then I'll just set it to this script. Okay, sprite 2d $sp sprite 2d dot texture. It has the property called texture, and I'll just set it to texture texture. Good, save it, and I think that's it. Now let's see if I play, do I see this? Okay, now look, we have got different draggable items, and we can drag everything, yeah, like this. And let's see if it works in our mobile phone or not. Yeah, one last time. So it's installing on my phone. Okay, let me show you my phone screen. Open phone screen, make it a little bigger, and I'll just try to drag. Yeah, look, and that's how we can make draggable item. And right now the feature is it just snaps back to its original position when we stop dragging. Okay, and that's how we can make the draggable item, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.